Well, welcome to the Kristi Jones Show, where it's all about living your life to the fullest. I'm a life coach, speaker, and business owner in multifamily real estate, and I've had wild success in multifamily housing for over 25 years now. I am so passionate about helping others merge their success and lead a fulfilling life, and I bring it all together right here on this podcast. So join me and let's get started to live your life to the fullest. Hey, my friend, welcome back to the Kristi Jones Show. I've got a short but very powerful message to share with you today. So, I recently sat in a doctor's appointment for a very dear friend of mine, and her oncologist said something at the end of that appointment that I thought was an absolute mic drop moment. And this is what she shared. She said, quote, "Don't borrow trouble that you don't need to borrow." And when she said that, it was like so simple, right? Sounds so simple, but it's so profound. So today I want to dive into the meaning of that. And I want to talk about how we can stop adding unnecessary burdens to our lives. So let's get into it. So as I was preparing for this podcast, I've had this quote for a little while. I wanted to record it like right away as soon as I heard this simple but profound thing that this doctor had shared. And I thought, wow, could we all not apply that to our own life? And so I'm going to delve into that. And, I'm just going to cut right to the chase. And I want you to be able to walk away from listening to this episode with maybe a different perspective about, and we've all done it before. Most of us have, right? Especially if have, and it doesn't mean like we have empathy, we have compassion. We sometimes in our own problem solving of our own situations, our mind, I call it monkey brain, we start reaching for what else could I add on to this? What is something else that I could worry about, be, burdened and troubled with, and try to solve all the things? And it's sometimes just how our brains work. Often, often our brains start that whole process and that monkey brain because often if you're in the thick of it on anything, I mean, and whatever that is for you, you probably have something going on in your life right now that's really taking a lot of your mental energy. And so it's taking up a lot of your hard drive. Okay. And when we have something like that going on, we will often go into what I call like a problem solving mode, where we think of all these other hypotheticals, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more, and all the what ifs and the hypotheticals. Most times of things, and I'm talking about things that you absolutely have no influence over, but our brain goes to work on these and to go back to the doctor's quote, "Don't borrow trouble." And that we start adopting and finding new trouble, meaning new problems, new things that our brain can get wrapped around and be concerned about that are truly hypotheticals. So it is that if you've ever dealt with that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I call it monkey brain sometimes because it'll jump from one thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next thing. Pretty soon, you're like so distracted from the issue or the problem or the situation that's like right in front of you that you're needing to, work through or, figure out, navigate that path, like the thing that's right in front of you. But when monkey brain goes into effect, then we start creating and thinking of all these other things. And to go back to like how this doctor phrased it up, this oncologist said this is, don't borrow trouble that isn't yours to borrow. And I thought, I love that. So simple, so effective. So let's talk about that a little bit. All right, so let's talk about hypotheticals. So have you ever found that oftentimes we can come up with a hypothetical, and hypothetical meaning this is like a what if situation. And while it is good to, think of, alternate outcomes, alternate pathways to take when you're trying to solve a problem or trying to work through something, whatever your situation is, it's good to like see things from like a broad perspective, but oftentimes that's not what we do. Oftentimes what we do is we create all these hypothetical situations and it drains our energy. It drains our energy and it basically takes away from your energy that you could be putting towards the thing that you actually can make a difference in, the thing that you actually, maybe whatever that situation that is or circumstance that's right in front of you. So that is what you need to focus on. Instead, our brain just like goes broad and then it just starts grabbing for anything else that it can come up with. And partly sometimes that's to distract ourselves. Often I know in times when I had felt there was a time in my life, there was a lot going on, and I just literally felt overwhelmed. So if I could think about something that really wasn't even in my, like, I had no effect on it, but it was easier to think about that than it was to try to work through my own stuff. All right. So go back if you find yourself ever, in this place. I want you to go back to what that doctor said, that powerful quote she said, that she tells patients, don't borrow trouble that isn't yours to borrow. You're giving away when we do that, when we just add on things that are not our, as she says, troubles, then we're just adding on things that are going to pull our energy. It's going to deplete the level that we get to show up in our lives to live our life, whatever's in front of you right now, that you really drain and deplete your energy when you're trying to borrow troubles that aren't yours. Why you're trying to think through problems that aren't your problems to solve. Things that you're trying to, get your brain occupied on instead of what truly is yours to hold. So I really, really liked how she summed that up. So I think that the one way we do that is we start spinning off and thinking about hypothetical scenarios, which those have no limit. If you've ever gone down that trail, I mean, you can come up with another one and another one and another one. So, and this applies to life and business. Literally, don't borrow troubles that aren't yours to borrow. And the second thought that came to me when I sat and thought about her quote even more was the boundaries that we need to set within our own selves, within our own thoughts, within our own mind. So the boundaries that you need to create for yourself, for your thoughts, and for your worries. You need to understand what are your boundaries when it comes to what you're going to be thinking about, worrying about. Don't borrow trouble that isn't yours to borrow. Something that came to mind too was um, have you ever seen or been in a social situation where somebody is so very almost overly invested in, and I remember this was more in a social setting, and just very invested in somebody's life and the choices that they were making and the decisions that they were making, and they had really strong, feelings and opinions about it. And at the end of the day, though, I mean, what if you took that same level? I remember sitting and listening, and I don't remember. I did speak up. I don't remember. This is a while ago. I don't remember exactly what I said as the four or five people sat there, but it was something to the effect of, I mean, there's a certain level where your care and concern, and that's great, but this was way beyond that for this example that I'm giving. And I remember saying, really all we have to do is, I mean, really kind of reel that in and just bring that same intensity and focus and concern. to your own path of what's before you. And I try to say it in a really gentle way, but I mean, have you ever found yourself in a situation like that? Where it's like, can you just worry about like you probably have enough going on in your own life that you can try to sort through your things, sort through your challenges, sort through all the uniqueness that's going on in your world. Like none of us get this like easy peasy, nice and easy all the time, 24/7. Like we life. Life happens. We life. I call it lifing. We life. And so instead of taking your focus on someone else's, I will say troubles to kind of tie it into how this doctor I loved her quote. I just thought it was so powerful. Instead of like getting so absorbed into that, bring that focus back to your own life, to your own situation, instead of worrying about like this example when I'm sitting around with four or five other people and why, why are you so uberly like invested in that? Like, we're talking about adults, so let them be as they wish. Now, take that same level of intensity and bring it into your lane. That's all I'm suggesting here is bring it into your lane. And maybe you have a friend or a family member or somebody that like you can like share this podcast with. I mean, if you don't want to just have the conversation, say, hey, oh my gosh, let's listen to this podcast. And they're so great. And, you know, if you just kind of want to pass that along. But I really think that sometimes it's easier for people, for humans, to uber focus on troubles that are not theirs instead of dealing with their own troubles, dealing with their own BS. It's easier because it's out there. If you're watching me on YouTube, you're getting all the hand gestures because you guys know I talk with my hands. I'm like, I don't know. It's just like it's a language, okay? And I'm here for it. If you hate all the hand gestures, then just don't watch it on YouTube, all right? Just listen on Apple or Spotify. So going back to the two things that I wanted to really point out in this shorty episode is don't borrow troubles that you don't need to be borrowing, especially if you're going through anything that feels hard right now. If you're in a hard season, if you are having to show up like all cylinders firing, now is not the time to try to borrow troubles that are not yours to borrow. It's really a great practice like all the time, but if you're in the thick of it, it's like absolutely necessary that you adopt that thought process. Deal with what you have in front of you. Put all your energy resources into that. And I'm not saying don't show, I felt like before I recorded this, I'm like, people are going to hear this and be like, it means to be selfish. It means to not care. It means to not have empathy. It means to not have concern. That's not at all what I'm saying. Don't borrow trouble that isn't yours to borrow. A lot of times, the problems maybe that you're trying to take on or you're trying to get like, let your mind go to crazy town trying to find solutions for might even be within your own life. It's not somebody else's life. I'm talking about these are things even within your own life, but they are things that are these are things that are outside of your control. These hypothetical scenarios that are clearly what if this, what if that, that have nothing to do with you. So focus on what you can control and what you can't. Know the difference because there's nothing worse if you're putting time and your precious energy into something that you absolutely have no influence over. And a lot of times they say, I hear the word control, like know what you can control and what you can't control. I like to say, know what you have influence over and what you don't. Because control is always, it's like so rigid. It's like it's this or it's this. And I like the language anyways of what do you have influence over and what do you not have influence over? Knowing the difference there is very important and so helpful. So you know where to direct your energy. So borrow that fabulous quote that I heard from that doctor not too long ago that really was so clarifying, so simple, but yet so effective. Don't borrow problems. Don't borrow trouble. That is not yours to borrow. So let yourself be able to, think about that and then maybe release some things that you're trying to juggle too much. You're playing too many what if scenarios in your own life and all these situations that are going on or whatever it is that you're dealing with. If you're creating all these hypothetical situations and scenarios, you're going to wear yourself plumb out. So know what you have influence over and what you don't. Know that majority of the things when we worry about things, the hypotheticals that we come up with, very little actually comes to fruition. So why waste your time, your energy, your most valuable resource, your energy? Why waste that when you don't even know if that's going to be whatever, hypothetical you've come up with? You don't even know if that's the scenario. Most likely that's not even going to happen. Have you ever found that in your life? You worry about something? I was doing an event one time and I was so worried that, certain sequence of that event wasn't going to happen just so. And I was spent way too much time worrying about that. I can't control it. So I wasn't in the driver's seat of that event. So it's going to be whatever it's going to be. It's my job to adapt and be flexible and to show up in the best way possible. So I spent all that time worrying the night before. For what? To be tired. To be tired. To waste my time worrying about something that I had no influence over. That never even happened. So it's so funny to me how we can create those stories in our head when we could have saved all that time and energy and or worry because it never happened. And then think about the boundaries. Think about what is the boundaries that maybe you need to even set with yourself, with your own thoughts. So let's take that quote that she shared in that very quiet moment of the doctor's room. Don't borrow trouble that isn't yours to borrow. All right, my friend, I hope you're having a fabulous week, and I cannot wait I want to hear your comments. If you're able to apply this in your life, I so want to hear from you. You can drop me a DM on social. You can drop me an email. Go down to show notes. You can drop an email there, and and then share this with a friend. Definitely share this with someone because that could really put that quote to use in their own life. Okay, my friend, until next time, I hope to see you back here next week and keep flourishing and hope you're having a great summer. So I will talk to you soon. I just want to thank you for tuning in today to the podcast, and I hope you've enjoyed the conversation and all the info that's been shared today. And I hope you've come away with a few ideas on how to make the most out of it for your life. If you loved this episode, be sure to share it with your friends and family. And also make sure you subscribe to the podcast and tap that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Also, it would mean the absolute world to me if you would leave a podcast review. So until next time, my friend, keep flourishing and thriving and live your life to the